Good morning and welcome to another edition of Talent Talk. Today we are in June, and June is Home Ownership Month and it is Pride Month. So today we have a guest with us, Scott Haase, to talk about this a little bit more, explore, and really celebrate all those things. So let's go.
Hey, what is up? Good day to all of you people. This is the John L. Scott Talent Group, and as you said, Jurgen, it is another amazing day to celebrate, and we are talking National Home Ownership Month with pride is what we're talking about, right? So good morning, Scott.
Good morning.
Good morning, Jurgen. How are you guys doing?
Wonderful.
Excellent.
You're doing wonderful. All right, we're doing jumping jocks. Good morning, Donna. Oh my gosh. Well, hey, you guys, and out for our people out in our world, if you're on Facebook or if you're watching on LinkedIn or if you're watching on YouTube or any other platforms, please, if you have any questions or if you have any comments, definitely drop them in. We'd love to get you involved in the conversation today. And so we're talking about National Homeownership Month, and it also is a month of June, and it also is Pride Month. And so we have come a long way, and we still have a long way to go we talk about DEI, and we talk about inclusion, and we talk about, fair housing conversation. And we as realtors, we need to be leading those conversations, and we need to make sure that we're talking about the things that are circulating, and we need to talk about, equality, and we need to talk about how amazing it is to be diverse and embrace our diversity. So, again, Scott Haase, we are so delighted to have you with us today. Scott is one of our amazing brokers in our Olympia office. And as we talk about National Homeownership and Pride Month, and Scott, you've got some great insights for us as well to share. And so we're going to have some really great conversation. So, we have a trivia question actually that we're going to start. Where's our trivia question? Who wants to read our trivia question this morning?
Scott, you want to tackle that?
Oh, what the hell? Trivia question. United States' first Pride Parade took place in what year? Anyone?
Bueller.
That was it. 1960, 1970, 1980, or 1990.
Yeah.
Wow. I would say either 80 or 90. And you know what's interesting is I used to work at Neiman Marcus in Los Angeles, and we one of the first Pride parades, and so we actually participated in that parade. And I can't remember what year it was, but it was either in the 80s or it was right at the cusp of 1990. So I don't know if it was the first one or not, but so that's why I'm going 80 or 90. I don't know.
But this would be darts at a dartboard. I really do not know. Donna's guessing D.
D for Donna.
D for Donna. Mm-hmm.
What do you think, Scott?
B.
B? What was B? That was 1970, right?
No. Oh, yeah, it was, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That was before any of us were born, wasn't it?
Yes. Yes, it was.
Or
maybe C. B or C.
I would take a stab at C.
C sounds legitimate.
Okay. Well, we will see soon. We will announce the correct.
Or David, we might see.
We might see. We'll see who it be. Oh my goodness. All right. So, as we talk about, Scott, we actually yesterday had some good conversation just about like experiences and just oversight, just like not oversight, but actually that probably might be a good word is oversight, just in regards to conversations that have been surfacing up. And I think Jurgen, you might want to chime in. I think you have an idea or you have a thought that you want to
I
share.
I do. I actually liked what you were saying there is when we talk about this month, we talk about June National the Home Ownership Month, and we also talk about it being Pride Month. And yesterday, in preparation for coming on today, we had a really good conversation, and some of the conversation that we were having probably isn't going to make it into what we talk about today, but it was really good, and it opened up the door to asking questions that we wouldn't necessarily ask normally. And anybody that's out there, I mean, this is a great opportunity during this month or really any month. It doesn't have to wait for Pride Month for June to reach out for more understanding. I love the fact that we had conversation about some things that maybe were uncomfortable to ask, maybe we're uncomfortable to answer, but the fact that we're having it so that we can get a better understanding. We ended that preparation, and I felt better for having. I felt so much and I hate to say that I felt better for it, but I did. And hopefully, through the conversation, everybody got a better understanding too. So an encouragement today would be, yeah, have listen because we think we'll talk about a few things that are good, but we won't go all the way. And this would be a great time to reach out to somebody and just be in community, be in relationship with people today.
Yep. That
Mm.
that is, yep. And you know what? Here's the thing. I think that is the thread of everything is that we all, when we talk about diversity, and again, we're talking about again, if you're just joining, we're celebrating National Homeownership Month, and we also are observing Pride Month. So we're celebrating both of these, and as we are in the month of June, and um, we talk about the conversations that we're having, and it's kind of a tragedy, but yet something to embrace because one of the things that we talk about, things have been swept under the rug. We talk about sexual orientation, we talk about gender identity, and then we talk about race, and we talk about all these other things that we haven't had these conversations. And people literally, the really sad situation is that um, people are ashamed. People are to have conversations. People are, we talk about, the uncomfortableness of conversations with agents that have clients, and they feel that there's so many differences that they can't communicate and they can't relate. And the real thing is that we need to be able to be relatable to everyone. We all are equal, and we all should be treated equally, understanding that we all have differences, and that should all be embraced. So we are celebrating that about us today because we are all humankind, and we all exhibit. And I mean, I feel like I want to go preach, but I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna roll myself back. We were doing Brendan Mans earlier today, and I was like, okay, Davina, come on now. So anyway, just kind of rolling back a little bit. When we talk about National Homeownership Month, actually just one of a fun fact is that National Homeownership Month actually started as I think a day, and then it started as a week. So officially in 1995, National Homeownership Week started, and by the Clinton administration. And then later, George W. Bush in 2000s, I want to say 2002, made it a whole month as well for national ownership. And then this is, educating buyers and sellers, and getting people involved in getting a piece of the American dream. And unfortunately, some people and classes have been left out of that piece of getting the American dream. And that is one of the reasons why Pride Month is so important, because we want to make sure everybody, every single person and soul gets to get a piece of the American dream. And that is what this is about. So as we move forward, you're so funny, Mark, preach. I saw that. But as we move forward with this, want to actually get some feedback from the what Pride Month, why Pride Month, matters in real estate, and why it's important to understand it. So, as we talk about any thoughts, behind that, for you, Scott, what does that mean? What does Pride Month mean?
Oh, and also, Scott, why is it important to you?
Well, first of all, I'm a gay male, so there's that little piece of the puzzle. Then Pride Month to me is just recognition, awareness, bringing to light a lot of issues that people have that are not comfortable buying homes or talking to lenders or talking to a real estate agent, because you're opening yourself up to a world that, or you're opening yourself up to someone else that you may or may not feel comfortable with, divulging like your same-sex partner or your or any other you're opening yourself up, and that's always uncomfortable,
vulnerable.
Mhm.
I think that Pride Month gives a chance for us to have these conversations, take pride in home ownership, and just bring to light some issues that LGBT plus people probably have, and I've had, and I have experienced. So that's what this month means to me in this light.
Nice.
Yeah. As you talk through that, one of the things that's new that has come up that I was like, what is that? Is we talk about like even pronouns, right? Um, and and I don't know if we want to talk about a little bit about some of the things that are new that are things that we can do to actually um, embrace and have some conversations, when, wanting to know, how do you want to be addressed? How, because sometimes I can tell you, sometimes it's hard to say, okay, well, I see you, but I don't know how you want me to see you. And so pronouns actually help with that. Can you talk a little bit about what, because some people might be like, I learned pronouns in grammar school, but what do pronouns mean in our world today?
I only know basically what I've learned from TikTok and just basic research, and also the Equity, Diversity, Inclusion Diversity Committee for TCRA, for Thurston County Realtor Association. And they just had this conversation at their last event last month, and it was they were having discussions about the use of pronouns, or people that are, identify as he or she, or people that identify as they, just learning about how to address people and not make the most important piece of that conversation I took away was when you potentially make an error in saying someone's pronouns, you just apologize like quickly. Don't make a big scene of it. Just learn and move forward. And I was like, oh, that can make sense, because pronouns, and even I'm 42 years old, I am still learning and adjusting, and I want to embrace and I want to make everyone feel comfortable. So it's still a learning process. That's the whole goal of, like, I think life is just education and awareness, like for Pride Month, and just being open to learn.
Yeah.
Yes.
Pride Month is originally thought about it in the LGB way of lesbian, gay, into bisexual, and this is definitely a newer aspect to all that. Even for our family, our oldest child, and I talked to him prior to, hey, are you comfortable? And they said yes, and we're getting accustomed to new pronouns, and we could always see that. And for him, Davian, I absolutely resonate with what you were saying about the pressure, and even as a parent, like saying, I feel weird sometimes because I say, well, what I'm dealing with to work my way through it. Well, he's been dealing with it pretty much most of his life, from being bullied to having a lot of internal misunderstandings, a lot of things that have plagued his mind through that time that we couldn't always understand along the way. And now he's beginning to, because of so much acceptance around everything, he's beginning to embrace who he is. He's helping other people to understand, or they, even with the pronouns, can get them confused during the times. But it's a learning experience, and being open to somebody else's experience, I think, is one of the hardest things to do. But it's really, really necessary to, like, for somebody like me, or even my wife, to take ourselves out of our own experience and our own perceptions of things, and really understand them, because this is their life, and we are trying to find every way we can to be supportive of that.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Yep. I joined LGBT plus Alliance, which is a network of professionals where people can log onto that site and they can find somebody that is LGBT plus. Well, they're LGBT plus, or they actually are, what's the word? Friendly. That's not the word I'm looking for. They're like, they're accepting. That's pretty much, I can't think of the word. But anyways, it's a really great network to belong to. Like, and it has lenders, that has, real estate agents, that's attorneys, that has, every single professional you could probably need is on that, is in that network. And it's been a really great resource for me. It's really opened my eyes to like how many of us are there in this industry that want to help people like us or friends. So I'm really, really grateful for that organization and what they've brought to my profession. So our profession, I should say. So
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. And we see that in a lot of our legislation, especially the National Association of Realtors, the Washington Association of Realtors, and now we were talking about the Thurston County Association of Realtors. Actually, you are, and you're a member of the DEI committee that is with the local chapter of the Realtor Association. And as we talk about, progression, this has been an ongoing conversation. I think that has surfaced a little bit more intensely lately. But even starting the conversation with the National Association of Realtors, I mean, they actually amended. So the Realtor Association has a code of ethics, and talking about realtors, everybody is not a realtor, okay? And the word is realtor, and everyone is not a realtor, although the consumers call all of us realtors, but realtors such as we are special because we are part of the Realtor Association. Every real estate agent is not a part of the Realtor Association. So consumers, ask your agent, are you a realtor? Just saying, little plug for the realtors. There's a code of ethics that we abide by. And we have 17 articles on our code of ethics. And in 2011, so like this is like 2011, so more than 10 years ago, there were protections that were added and updated so that we can have housing protections for the LGBTQ plus community. And the Department of Housing and Urban Development is also starting enforcement in regards to the Fair Housing Act to prohibit discrimination based on sexual orientation and gender identity. And then also, as we get a little bit more local in Washington, now just recently last year, there is a new partnership with the LGBTQ Real Estate Alliance, which was founded in 2020, has chapters throughout the United States, where they're mobilizing people and training opportunities to have conversations, to understand. And I think the word you were looking for was like the pro LGBTQ word, so that we can have an understanding and we can be advocating for fair housing and equity and equality and embracing diversity and being able to lock hands and saying, hey, I love you no matter where you come from, who you say you are, doesn't matter, because you are important, you are seen, you are valued, you are loved, and so I think that is what's really important is humanity has such an eye to judge, and it has really ripped away the thread of who God created us to be. So anyway, I'm getting on my preaching horse again. I need to step off. Um, so within that, what are some of the things that we talk about, even our office, right? What are some of the things that are important for people to actually, in order for there to be change, we actually have the change starts here. So what are some things that just, in your eyes, you have different, we see things a lot differently. You were walking in the shoes, you were living the life. What are some of the things that you've seen that might have changed or maybe still needs work on?
In our office or just in general? Like just
I
how?
said our office, but I mean, I know our office, we do have a very diverse office, which is
Right.
great. But just actually just overall, what are some of the things that you've seen that are great, and some things that you think may need to be changed that we may not see?
I think the diversity committee for TCRA, that is one of the most educational committees I could probably have joined, and I think the conversations they have there are great. And I think um, they're offering communications and opportunities to learn and have discussions about really tough topics. And I feel like those are the things that we as realtors um, need to do in order to grow and progress, and be able to better serve our clients and our communities. That to me is key, the education piece. From my own personal experience, one thing that like I had an awkward moment with, I was referred to a lender when I was buying a home a few years ago, and uh, a lender made the assumption that I had a wife. I was like, I don't have a wife, I have a he. And usually that conversation would have been, oh, moving forward, like that brief pause. Oh, my apologies. My bad for assuming. But there was a moment of like pause, hesitation, like uncomfortableness that gave me pause, that I didn't want to work with this person anymore. Like my intuition just told me we're done, and I moved on to somebody else that was just better anyways. But those conversations, those little small microaggressions that we can learn from and adjust to, and not to be able to make somebody else feel uncomfortable, that is what I want to bring to this conversation. I don't want somebody else to have the same experience I had, or several other people in this community that have had the same things happen to them. That education piece and having those discussions is what I want to preach. That's the word of the day. Preach.
Preach is our word of the day. We're gonna go out, instead of be bold, we're gonna say preach.
Yeah.
That's good. So changing things are definitely, conversations are changing. Being able to get involved in
Yeah.
making a difference, right, is really important.
And I think a big part is awareness. And as we're talking about change, the changing in cultures, I was looking at one piece of information. Now, I think this is actually from a 2019 report with realtors, and this one specific was from a Freddie Mac survey at the time, and they were talking about the number of LGBT plus people who stayed in the area that they grew up in or ended up moving. And when they were looking cross generations at this time, it was boomers. 73% of the boomers had, if they identified within that subset, they moved away from where they were. And I can only think part of that is due to acceptance. Gen X's, it was a little less. It was 67%. For millennials, it's a little bit less at 63%. Some of the reasons why they moved weren't necessarily just for that. They were like jobs or a change of environment. But 31% were citing finding going to places more LGBT plus friendly, and that includes like either feeling safe, the neighborhood vibe, low crime rates, sexual orientation, anti-discrimination laws or protections, gender identity and anti-discrimination laws and protections, and being able to search those out. We've seen so many different changes in terms of protected classes and those being included in the protected classes. I think Washington has done especially in Western Washington, has done a really good job of laying these forward. When I say that, just as when you hear that, Scott, I don't think we talked about those kind of numbers or the amount of times, because you actually are still in the area where you grew up. Does that resonate with you at all, or does that feel true to your experience at all?
Yeah, I remember. I mean, I grew up in Tenino, small town, 1,800 people, but I moved away just for more exposure, more people, more like a bigger sense of community too. And I do get the fact of wanting to relocate to be around a bigger group of people like you. So that resonates with me. But I just that was my experience.
Yeah.
But city life at the moment to me is not my jam. I love Olympia. I love Thurston County. Like, you can't get. It takes you 15 minutes to go anywhere if there's traffic. That's the perfect plan.
Well, as long as you're not going north.
Exactly. I don't want to go.
Yeah, as we talk about this too, I just want to give a plug for John L. Scott because there are a lot of things that John L. Scott on the corporate level is doing to really, bring diversity education to not only just homeowners, but also for people that are looking to start a career in real estate. And there are some huge strides that are being made. And I'll just put this website out. It's a John L. Scott website and it's evolving, but just, jlsfordiversity.com. So if you want to see the things that are going on and what John L. Scott as a whole is doing to push the needle forward, as we live life as a contribution, as we want to include everyone in the powerful spirits that they are, as Lennox says, check out JLS for Diversity just to see some of the things that are going on. So website's being constantly updated. There's going to be some new things that are going to be coming out. We're going to talk a little bit more about that even next week as we still continue our diversity conversations too. But just wanted to put a plug out there for John L. Scott in this. So, again, we're talking about celebrating the National Homeownership Month with pride. And we have, what is wrong with me? We also have a trivia question that we will put up on the screen again. And the United States' first Pride Parade took place in what year? So you get your answers in. I don't know the answer to the question. Scott?
I'm curious. Yeah,
says,
I'm curious. It was called a Pride Parade at first. I mean, it's an enveloping term. Has it been from the inception? I'm curious.
That's a Google situation happening.
Yeah. From what I recall, Pride was enveloped not just using LGBTQ or even, the LGBT community. I think Pride was enveloped with, I want to say it had to do with race as well at some point, but I'm not absolutely sure. And I really did not know this, but as we see Pride, we have, the rainbow colors and each color stands for something. Did you know that?
Mm-hmm.
And while you were saying that, Davian, I think you're maybe getting confused with the Lion King. I mean, taking about the Pride Land or something. I don't know.
Oh, it was the first Pride Parade was actually a protest, apparently.
Oh,
really?
It stemmed from that.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yep. Learning.
Really? Okay. Yeah. Yeah, definitely learning, right? We're getting educated while we're here.
Yeah, so, Vina said the 90s. Jen said D for the 90s as well.
Yeah, the 90s. I'm not sure. Jeff says 70s. So he's kind of with you on that one. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. So no one said 1960 though. A is out.
He's out.
So it's either B, C, or D. Okay. All right. So, actually it's 8:40. Oh no, What time is it? It's almost time for us to wrap up, is what it is. So,
Yeah.
any final thoughts before we get the answer to our trivia question?
Yeah. Scott, I've got one that you might build on a little bit if you wanted to, which is when we were talking about some of the migration and moving away to places that are a little bit more accepting. It's also, we've seen more representation in media, in even our own neighborhoods, as we see that. And when we talk about the diversity conversation as a whole, seeing better representations of all minority sets is a good thing, because it helps us really understand, rather than just being if we're talking media like a television, movie, that type of things, rather than just seeing them as side characters or a stereotype within that, but being able to see them as the hero, as the main characters. And they're not the main character due to their diversity status. They're a main character because of who they are, and that diversity status is only a part of who they are, but it's not the core of who they are. As we're able to see people in that light, I think it is really, really good, because we can begin to see them as people again, not just a stereotype that fills a specific role in a thing. So for me, I like the fact that we're seeing so much better representation and intentional representation of different diverse sets, but that's not what the definition of that character or that representation is.
Agreed. I think representation really helps a lot. I mean, thinking of the kid I was when I was little, having representation, seeing people on screen. I mean, I remember Ellen, that whole situation when she came out. Like, I remember how drastic of a change that was in her career. I remember Will and Grace. I remember those shows like very, very well, and it was nice to see people out and have exposure to that in some light. Like, it does help. It helps a lot. And so I can only think, like, the new generation, and I'm really, really impressed. I'm really pleased, like, the progression that we're making, and I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
I mean, I want this like nice little happy utopia in the future. Like, we're all together. We're all just like holding hands, and the little kid parade that you see, or those little stick figures with the hands holding, and everyone's a different color, everyone's a different thing.
Oh yeah, hands across America type of thing.
Yeah. That's why I see that in my head. That's what I want for all of us.
We're all dancing through the daisies, and
Yes.
life is just daisies, and I want to wear my rose-colored glasses, right? So, right,
Not to become a Coke commercial. Like, I'd like to teach the world to sing.
Yes.
Perfect harmony.
And you see all of the, the wonder and the innocence of a child. We talked about that before. I said, I wish we could just roll it back to the freedom we had when we were children. And one of the things, and the freedom of thought and the freedom of expression that we had when we were kids. One of the things that I was thinking about, like just now, it was part of the Martin Luther King "I Have a Dream" speech, and he was referring, to all mankind, but he made the statement about his 4 children. I have a dream that one day, my 4 little children will live in a nation where they won't be judged by the color of their skin. I mean, but by the content of their character. And I feel like that's where we are. That's where we need to be. Where everyone, if you're going to set up judgment, let's judge by the content of the character, not by anything else, not by the outward appearance, but by the soul, by who we are on the inside. And it doesn't matter out here, right? So yeah.
And if it's okay to build on that just a touch, and also on the representation in media type of thing, I think we also need to really challenge ourselves to, if we need to, because some of our environments don't naturally have a lot of diversity within them. I think we need to challenge ourselves to open up our environments to be much more diverse, whether it's consuming more content that has diversity within it, or finding ways to get engaged in more diverse, with more diverse people around you. Because until we do that, it's really hard to have understanding. It's hard to be childlike, because on the opposite side, it can be childlike can be a very bad thing, because you're so unsure of the things that you're unfamiliar with. and you almost close yourself out to those experiences and you make them scary to yourself. But familiarity, if you can open yourself up to it and find ways to be intentionally in more diverse environments, then it becomes easier to understand, accept, and it's not so strange anymore, and it's not scary. It's only scary when we allow it to be.
Yep.
Yep.
Yep. That's really good advice. A lot of times when we join groups, we're looking for groups of people that are like us, or we share the same, we have more commonalities. I think being diverse and really being accepting of people and humanity is actually getting into groups that aren't like us so that we can learn more and we can communicate better. So that's good.
Yeah. And
Yep.
Josh is saying you need to be willing to fight for those with less rights. And it's much easier if they're your friends or family that you love.
Mhm. Yeah. So, all right, this is good. Good stuff. As we're running out of time, we're going to go ahead and get the answer to our trivia question before we head out. The United States first Pride Parade took place in what year? A, 60, B, 70, C, 80, or 90? Bruce says 80. What is the answer?
I'm going C2 still. Ah, wrong.
Yes. Jeff and I
Wow.
know.
What is the answer? So it says on 1970, on Sunday, June 28th, 1970, around noon in New York, gay activist groups held their own pride parade known as the Christopher Street Libertarian Day to recall the events of Stonewall.
Yeah.
Wow.
Nice job, Jeff.
Yeah. Jeff and Scott are the only two.
Yeah.
Go, Jeff. Go.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'd have to double check. Stonewall, I believe, was I saw something in passing, like in 2019. It was like the 50-year anniversary or memorial of that. I believe it was a club or such. There was some kind of riot. So unfortunately I don't know enough about it, but
yeah.
wow, that's 1970 and June 28th. So that makes a lot of sense why June would be Pride Month.
Yep.
That makes sense. So it's like that's like the civil rights movement for the LGBTQ plus where it all started. So wow.
Yeah.
Learn something new.
Or at
So
least it became a focus. It didn't start then. They've been fighting that fight for a long time.
but that was yeah. So there a lot of things happened in the 60s and like just in that core, time, there was a lot that was happening there to
Mhm.
get things acknowledgement happen. So we actually are out of time, but we have some events and open houses and a lot of things coming up. Check out our website, also our Facebook page. If you want to see what is going on in our world, and you guys are all invited. Our Facebook page and our website is open with our whole calendar, so you can see what classes we have, and you can actually log in and RSVP to get a glimpse of what it's like, what we learn here in our real estate world. So we're always looking for some new faces to join our team as well. So if you're interested in real estate, and actually no matter where you are, if you're interested in real estate, even across the states, and you just have general questions, real estate is pretty general in that aspect, reach out to us. We'll be happy to answer your questions or give you some direction. So, all right. Next week, let's see, we are, wow, just this month is whizzing by. Next week, we actually have a special guest, Margot Wheeler Willis. She's going to be joining us. She actually is a past president of the Washington Association of Realtors. And she is going to be talking about the power of diversity. And we're going to have some really good conversation with her as well. So make sure you guys tune in next week to join in on the conversation with Margot. It's going to be great. Scott, you are an angel. We just love you. And thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
joining
I love
us.
you guys.
Oh,
And Scott, thank you for hopping on and actually sharing some of your experience and your perspective. on this, because it's really important to get different perspectives and different understandings. And also, we'll never in 30 to 45 minutes really do anything but scratch the surface on what any of this means. So again, as an encouragement, go out and, broaden your horizons. We say, as we end things, always, be bold. In a month like this for Pride Month, be bold and find some ways to expand the diversity within your own group, your understanding, and just your love. I mean, hopefully this is more of a spur to help you do something that you've already in your heart known you wanted to. And this can just be a step in that direction for you.
Agreed. Amen.
Yep. Amen. Preach.
Preach.
That'd be the word of the day.
All right. So we're going to take it out. We're going to take it out on 3. Scott, count us out like you know how to do.
Oh, 1, 2, 3.
Be bold.
Yeah. Preach.
Preach.
Bye.
We'll see you guys next week.
Bye.